Hey, everybody. Welcome to what is a really special edition of the Westwood Living podcast. I am honored and thrilled. And when I think about, I don't want to get too cheesy on you, Maddie Walter, but when I think about the fact that it really is a miracle that we even have the opportunity to do this, I'm very grateful that you are hosting me here and willing to have a conversation about your life and the last 10 years and the fact that you were featured on the cover. So how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm pretty sore because I had yoga training yesterday because I'm training to be a yoga teacher. And so we did a lot of assisting and yoga moves, and some of the assisting, we had to hold positions for 5 minutes. And some positions, you're not supposed to hold for that long.
All right, well, that's the first time you've probably heard Maddie's voice, many of you. And you've read the story perhaps in the March issue of Westwood Living, and you may know more. And we'll give you a little bit of background. But first of all, when we talked about maybe doing this podcast, you're like, well, I don't have a speech impediment. I'm like, yeah, but that's you. That's.
But a lot of people, they hear a little bit and then they're like, no, I don't want to waste my time trying to figure out what she's saying.
Really?
Yep.
So it leads to a great question about challenges that you still deal with. That's got to be the number one challenge that you deal with.
No, the number one challenge is that people just assume I'm an idiot because I talk differently, I walk differently, but I got tested after my brain injury and they're like, wow, she must have been extremely smart before the accident because she's retained so much intelligence.
I think that's amazing. I mean, for those of you who don't know the story, I think it's important for us to share a little bit of the details because it was 10 years ago that Maddie suffered a traumatic brain injury. It was on May 8th of 2015. And
More like May 9th because I didn't get to the hospital till 12:06 in the morning.
Okay, makes sense. Appreciate you clearing that up. But as we were getting set to write the article, we looked at each other. I was with Maddie's parents, Mark and Linda, and we're like, we kind of have to tell the story and have people understand what happened before we get into what has occurred over the last 10 years. So let me just read it, okay? So it was a scene familiar to many high school students, friends gathering in the woods near a local gas station, a well-known spot, infamously referred to as Satan's Kingdom. Maddie, who at the time was a Westwood High School junior and lacrosse player, had been warned by her coach, Leslie Frank, just days prior, if you're caught at a party drinking or not, you will never play for me again. That warning echoed in Maddie's mind as she reluctantly agreed to accompany her best friend. And your quote, I had a bad feeling about it from the start, but I told my mom I was going to go just to make sure my friends were all good and got out fine.
This is what my mom told me. I have no idea about any of that, but she's like, you said you had a bad feeling about that night, but this is what happened.
So how ironic that last sentence turned out to be just a few short hours later. At some point of the night, the police arrived. After getting a noise complaint from a nearby neighbor, everyone scattered. Maddie, in an effort to avoid trouble, ran alone. Little did you know, Maddie, that you were about to run off the edge of a 30-foot cliff.
Yep.
Within seconds, your life changed forever. And your quote here is, I hit a bunch of boulders and rocks on my way down. I broke my right pelvis, my left wrist, every bone in my nose, every bone around both eyes, and I shattered my skull so badly that part of my brain was exposed. I mean, that just sets the table here for the amazing recovery that we have seen over the course of 10 years. When you think about what you've accomplished in 10 years, a college graduate.
I'm don't want to be cringy, but I'm proud of myself because doctors and everyone was like, nah, she can't do college. She couldn't handle it. And I was like, yeah, you watch me. You to say I can't do it gives me motivation to do it.
Do you think that your upbringing as an athlete played into that as well?
Oh, 100%. I always want to be have this thing where I always want to be the best at everything. So, because I guess I'm a kind of a perfectionist. It's people in the hospital or therapy were like, the person was telling them to run, and they were like, I don't want to run. I literally looked at my mom and I was like, if I could run, oh my God, I'd do it. Like, there's no doubt in my mind, because I want to get back to the same athleticism I had before.
So you ultimately, there's so much you don't remember because, you know, you were in a coma for a while, you were in intensive care for a while, you were ultimately moved to physical therapy, which...
No, I was moved to Spalding Rehab.
Spalding Rehab, where you underwent some significant physical therapy treatment, though, right? Is that appropriately described?
That's where I learned to walk.
Yeah, let's talk about that. How much that we all take for granted did you have to learn again from scratch?
First of all, I had to learn how to smile. Like, that's second nature, I thought. But no, I had to figure out how to move the muscles in my face so I can form a smile. Now you can never find me not smiling.
No, it's true. What's interesting to me, Maddie, is that I'm a person who's good with dates. And I don't know why I knew, I just remembered, we moved to Westwood in 2015, shortly after this accident. So when we were looking for homes, everywhere we went, we saw the, MW8.
And the purple?
And the purple.
I hate purple now. Like,
I can understand.
It was my favorite color, so everyone knew that. So everything was purple. So now I'm sick of it. It reminds me of my brain injury.
Yep.
I never want to see it again.
All right, note, people, don't get Maddie anything purple. But my point being is that I remembered it was 2015, and I remember that we were 10 years away. And for me, it was important to almost reintroduce you to the community, because so many of the community who were checked in so intensely 10 years ago know you as a 16-year-old girl who suffered a tragic accident, right? So what happens is you mature, and now all of a sudden you're a 26-year-old woman and a college graduate, which is the topic I want to hit next. You end up going to LaSalle, and some great stories in the cover feature about how you had a very special relationship with the cops at LaSalle, which is understandable, right? They took care of you because they knew that you had special needs physically. And just tell me about your experience of integrating into the college lifestyle, living on campus, being as independent as you could be at that age when you finally got there.
My life was kind of saved by some guy like two or three grades above me saw me sitting alone at lunch one day, and so he friended me on Facebook and messaged me. He had a girlfriend, so don't worry about that. And so he became like my best friend. He introduced me to the entire lacrosse team because he was on the team, and I worked for the lacrosse team. So he really made my college so much better.
In spite of the fact that you were limited physically, challenged physically, not limited is not necessarily the right word. What was the experience like? What was difficult, or maybe in your eyes more difficult, about going to college based on what you had experienced?
Like judgment. People just assume I'm not good enough to do anything. Like, maybe ask me if I can do something. I'll see if I can do it, and like, I'll probably prove you wrong, because if someone says I can't do something, that's all the motivation I need to do it.
I love it. There were a couple of things you said that still drive you a little bit nuts. Like, you don't have a sense of smell? Is that right? You lost your sense of smell? What's that like?
I imagine a lot of smells. If someone's like, oh, it's disgusting smelling, then I think I smell it.
Oh, yeah. Psychosomatic. I can understand that. When it comes to your walking, right? You referenced the fact that you're a little off balance. Walk me through that, because you learned how to walk again, but yet there's still the imbalance when you walk. Because
I have ataxia, which is because of damage to my cerebellum, which is like the back bottom of my brain. Ataxia means your brain can't communicate with your muscles, so I can't walk right because of it. I can't talk right because of it. I can't run because of it. So all my issues, like why people can tell I'm not normal, it's all because of that ataxia.
Do you have a secret go-to? Because you know how people are going to, for the most part, instantly react to you. They're going to have their guard up and be like, what's going on here? So based on the fact that you've lived with yourself and you know yourself for the last 10 years, what's your approach when you see somebody for the first time too? I mean, I hate to say it, but it's almost like you have to put them at ease.
I like to prove people wrong. If they have one idea about me, my whole goal and purpose of that interaction is doing what they don't think. Like, they don't think I can do this, so I'm going to do it. Like, that's all I live by.
So one of the things that came up during our conversations was employment, right? Actually, we're here at a great place. Tell me about where we are.
We're in Terma Goods in Dedham, which is right below Steel Studio, which is where I do training to be a yoga teacher, and I'm going to be doing a yoga class up there later tonight. The owner of it was so great, and she's the nicest person ever, and she decided to give me a chance and hired me.
So that's one of the goals. At this stage, 26, looking for more employment, right? So I hope we're helpful in that regard. I really do hope that people read this article, hear this podcast, and say, like, this is a person who deserves a chance, and a person who deserves probably a second look, who might have been overlooked at the beginning. The other night, you and your family hosted a great fundraiser. It was at Neroli. It was for the nonprofit that you've started, which is Life Goes On After TBI. TBI, of course, stands for traumatic brain injury.
You don't even know how many times I have to tell people that. Like, what's TBI? I'm like, oh, let me walk you through that.
So the purpose of the charity is what? Who do you aim to help? Because you can't help everybody. So it seems like there's a very specific...
Like, when I got my brain injury, my mom, she was looking for any grant or any money to help me with, like, adaptive driving or things like that. And there were nearly no grants for brain injuries. A lot for, like, spinal cord injuries or something like that, but none for brain injuries. And the ones that there were not for severe. And my brain injury was severe and extensive, so I, like, didn't fit in. I couldn't get any help. So we created this charity to economically help other TBI survivors afford things like therapy or treatment or whatever they need to live a more independent life.
That's great. So the other night we had a great time, like I said, at Neroli, and hopefully that raised some money for the cause. And there's always opportunities. If you want to help support this cause, you can reach out to Maddie and her parents. Go to lifegoesonaftertbi.com, and you could find out how you can support the charity. It's amazing that not only have you survived, but you recovered, you have graduated from college, you have gotten your driver license, you have a job and want more work coming your way, and your family has started this nonprofit. When you think about the impact your injury and recovery has had on your family, what resonates with you about how the family has supported you?
Like, thank God my parents are not divorced, because a lot of times trauma happens and the parents can't deal with it and get a divorce. My parents are the best. Like, both of them are so supportive of me, and because they know I'm not 100% normal, and they accept it, and they try to work with me to get more normal. And my best friend was my older brother, and he was wrecked when I had the brain injury. But we're still good, like really good friends. He lives in Utah now, so I don't see him that much, but we talk on the phone. Once he'll call me, and I pick it up like scared. I don't know what's gonna happen, and he's like, I just wanted to talk.
Yeah, it's love.
Yeah.
It's good. If you could pick a job, what kind of job would you want to have?
An admin assistant, I think, or a therapist or something like that. I really just want to help people, like, because I feel like so many people have helped me, and I want to give back the same way people helped me.
You mentioned the bar workouts that you did and how instrumental
Debbie.
that was. So Debbie at the Vanderbilt Club
Yeah.
was the one who helped you out there. That seemed to be a turning point for you as you talk about therapy.
100%.
Why?
Because, like, I was doing a lot of PT, but none of them even got me to a place I could walk. That's how bad I was. I couldn't walk. And, like, she tested my balance so much. Like, I was literally, she would give me lessons with TRX and personal training, and then we moved down to some bar exercises, and I was shaking. My balance was so tested with the straps, and like that really worked for me because I had the mind of an athlete.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. You had the good combination of being smart, being fit, and being driven. I mean,
Yeah.
think about that. Without those three things, you wouldn't be where you are today.
I don't know.
Is that fair to say?
Definitely.
Well, I appreciate you opening up your heart and telling your story to the town through Westwood Living, and also having the courage to do this and have a conversation and share with people a little bit more about you. So I hope this has been a positive experience for you.
Absolutely.
And it has been, I think, a very meaningful story for us to share, probably in the 3 years that we've been doing this, the most meaningful story that we have shared. And for many of you who didn't know Maddie and got to know her through the story in the magazine or by listening to this podcast, welcome to her world, and be supportive. And for those of you who may have, forgotten, it happened 10 years ago and life goes on. No pun intended.
As
right? And, this was just a reminder, like, oh my gosh, yeah, I remember her as a 16-year-old girl, and now here she is, 26. A lot of positive comes out of this. We've seen a lot of love. We've seen a lot of perseverance and, community growth. So that is Maddie Walter. I can't thank you enough for everything. I really, really appreciate it. And Mark and Linda, you as well, for sharing the story with us. So thank you very much, Maddie. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. This was great.
And as always, folks, if there's somebody else you'd like me to have a conversation with, just reach out. Send me an email to tleiden@bestversionmedia.com. I will find that person, have a conversation with them, and then share it with you right here on the Westwood Living Podcast Network. But for now, with Maddie Walter, I'm Tom Leyden saying so long, and thanks for listening.